Joining us on the show right now is Director of Academic Planning Unit, University of Lagos, also the former member of the Governing Council of the institution, Professor Obinna. Good morning, sir. Are you there?
Good morning, Morayo.
Yes, Professor Obinna Chukwu. Yes. First, sir, we've heard the allegations the Governing Council had against Professor Ogundipe, issues of financial misappropriation, financial recklessness, not following due process. But your group from ASU is saying that due process was not followed. Could you explain to us what you mean by that?
First, let me start with the report. This report, the Dagare report in question, was actually a report of a committee that was set up in council on the 5th of September 2018. And that committee was set up following the presentation of a budget performance report. And the terms of reference of that committee was to review the expenditure of the University of Lagos from May 2007, which was the time, to 2017, which was when this council came into being. So that, as you can see, followed the membership of the committee. Right. Now, the basis of this report was that when this report eventually came to council, members of council during that period complained that this report had not been taken by council in plenary, yet actions were already being taken on it. Right. It is this same Dagare report that is now being used to try and remove the Vice Chancellor. Now, the question is this: has due process been taken in the removal of the Vice Chancellor? The obvious answer is no.
Okay, let me pause you for a second.
This answer of no, let me come in there. The answer no has been re-echoed by those who know, the stakeholders. Committee of Vice Chancellors have said due process was not followed. The Senate of the University of Lagos has said due process was not followed. The Alumni Association, headed by Dr. John Momo, who is also a member of the Governing Council, has also said that due process was not followed. Why? Let me also add, before I get to your question, that following the prescriptions of the University Miscellaneous Act, there should have been a joint committee set up. The allegations against the Vice Chancellor would have been framed and given to him. May I also request that, in line with what is already on in the social media, can the Governing Council possibly avail Nigerians the membership of that joint committee, the allegations that was framed for Professor Ogundipe, and at what meeting did they meet, the proceedings of that meeting, and then what was their recommendation to council in whole?
We're Nigerians. We've seen how our leaders have hidden behind this word called due process in trying to actually investigate issues of fraud. So my question to you, therefore, is yes, we understand due process wasn't followed. But the other questions, the allegations that certain people were hired without proper representation, there were misappropriation of funds. These are the real issues the Nigerian citizens want to know. Was Professor Ogundipe, is he liable in these allegations in any way? Is there an iota of a possibility that these allegations levied against him are true?
You recall that earlier I had said that when this committee submitted their report, the major allegation was that 2.4 billion was misappropriated by the university management. The only opportunity that council had to discuss this report on the 13th of May, 2019. That allegation, you can quote me, was debunked on the floor of council. And what was it? This committee hurriedly put together money that was set aside under needs assessment and TED fund funds, sitting in the TSA account of the university, computed them together and came up to say that 2.4 billion was missing. On the floor of council, where that was discussed, it was debunked. I also want to make bold, just like the issues of misappropriation of 2.4 billion was debunked.
Okay.
If the Vice Chancellor had been availed of fair hearing, there would have also been an opportunity to provide information.
Let me pause you on the fair hearing issue.
Issues and allegations.
All right, let me pause you for a second because I have a call. We have another member of, actually a present member of the Governing Council of the University of Lagos, Dr. Bayo Adaralegbe. I'll start from where Professor Chukwu left off. Sir, could you tell us categorically if indeed the former Vice Chancellor was given the opportunity to defend himself?
Now, to answer your question very specifically, he was given an opportunity to defend himself against the allegation. The registrar of the university, acting on behalf of the council, at the prompting of the Pro-Chancellor, actually sent a letter to him asking him to respond specifically to all the allegations against him. Professor Ogundipe responded to this allegation. He actually put up a 6-page defense of himself, where he actually tackled all these allegations specifically. He never denied that he spent this money. He never denied that, in fact, he did not obtain council approval. He never denied that, in fact, his spending did not go through Finance and General Purpose Committee. He never denied that, in fact, his spending did not receive standard board approval. So, based on that, we set in motion the process of a disciplinary process. And unfortunately for us, a letter came to the permanent secretary of the Federal Ministry of Education. So we set in motion the process of disciplining the Vice Chancellor. Unfortunately, we received a letter from the permanent secretary of the Federal Ministry of Education, actually stating that we should hold action for the time being because of breach of peace and things to that effect. So we couldn't actually take any decision. And so the decision was finally taken on the 12th of August 2020 at an emergency meeting that took place in Abuja.